So today's video is sponsored by Aniba.com, which is a brand new gaming marketplace with over 20,000 digital products. They'll bring you the hottest deals in the market of any title, new or old, and they have an absolutely incredible Trustpilot score. So you can be rest assured you're going to get your stuff on time and your gaming will continue without a hitch, and they even offer a 24/7 live support, which is just an absolute lifesaver. Now, it's a great place to buy games for not just your PlayStation 4, Xbox or PC, but you can even get things like your PSN cards or your Xbox cards and a bunch more, just like the Amazon gift cards, etc. It's a great place to go ahead and check out, and you can use my code SUPERREBEL to get a 3% discount on your purchase. So what are you waiting for? Visit Aniba.com with the link in the description below. So it's time to finally break my silence on the situation with Marvels Avengers. I want to share some of my own personal stories as well. I mean, I'm not going to go too in depth, but just some certain situations, I guess you could say, that I've experienced. And I want to talk about a few influencers as well, and just the whole situation, which is just so wrong on so many levels. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about in particular, I am specifically talking about the fact that now you can pay for the boosters in the game, when they literally once said that they weren't going to do this, and then they said the complete opposite, and now tons of influencers have literally been thrown under the bus, and I mean, probably the entire community, if only you knew as well, right? So let's get into this video. Now, I do want to start off by stating that, I mean, I go back quite some time, right, with Square Enix, in the sense of, like, my relationship started with Square Enix back in 2015. I used to cover a video game called Just Cause, and some of you long-termers will know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you are, and in fact, if you have been on this channel for that long of a time, which is literally 5 or 6 years, let me know in the comments below. But that was a really cool time on the channel, and I was a lot younger then. I mean, it was literally 5 or 6 years younger, right? And my content was different, so to say, right? I mean, I've been doing YouTube since a young age in general, so it's kind of been one of those things that have just always really been a hobby, and it's never really gone beyond that point because I just kind of don't want it to at times. And sure, you get really cool opportunities and whatever when you get to work with a company of a game that you're covering or whatever it may be. So I can say that, you know, I've had those experiences, you know, a few times with Square Enix back when I was covering Just Cause, and it was really, really cool at the time. But really, to sort of sum up my relationship, you know, to where we are right now, it's been pretty eventful in the sense of, you know, there's certain things that happen and it's like, okay, well, why is that happening to me? And then you kind of reach out for an answer and you never really get an answer, and something's always kind of offish, right? And it just doesn't make sense. And I mean, look, sure, there are times where you feel like, okay, this is a really crappy situation to be in, and, you know, it seems to be me, and, you know, why did that even happen? And honestly, I can say that's happened, you know, once or twice in the last, like, I guess you could say 2 years, probably even longer than that as well on certain scenarios. But again, I don't want to go too in depth on that. It's just the whole fact on how influencers are valued and how influencers are perceived by certain companies. And I can honestly say, you know, it really does feel like at times it's like, you know, almost you have to be grateful for certain scenarios. And look, I get that, and I really do, but, you know, some things just don't sit well, so to say. But again, I don't want to go too in depth on that because I've spoken to a few people, especially, you know, on the Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics side, and I can say majority of people that I've spoken to have genuinely been really, really cool people. Honestly, hands down, some phenomenal people. But really, if I had to sort of sum up the industry when it comes down to the influencer scenario versus like the gaming company, really I feel like there's that fine line on really being underappreciated and kind of, you know, undervalued. And that's why I talk about it in a lot of my videos, where I always say, you know, I'm talking about a consumer perspective on how I feel about a video game rather than an influencer or whatever it may be. Because sometimes you just kind of want to be the normal human being to where you're just enjoying a video game like everyone else, and you kind of don't want to know what's going on behind the scenes at times. Like, I can honestly say there have been certain opportunities that get presented, like just in general, multiple industries, and, you know, you might not really be 100% with that company, and you shouldn't be afraid to say that as well. And, you know, you just don't really want to go, I guess, further, right, with a company because you maybe just don't sit right with you, so to say. So I think everyone's entitled for that, but the situation here is, and again, I don't want to go too in depth on that, but this leads me on to like the gaming industry in general versus the influencers, because the next thing I want to talk about is how I feel a lot of these influencers that I will name in particular as well have kind of been thrown under the bus, which is just terrible because they're having to face the backlash on that as well. So I feel like the gaming industry, especially on YouTube, right, is very much sort of cranked out to be what it's not actually behind the scenes, if that makes sense. Like, trust me, it's not, you know, all sunny skies and green grass, right, so to say. It's a very interesting and eventful industry. So I guess like content creators kind of take that and, you know, go in whatever direction they want to as an individual. But of course, like the bigger numbers you have, right, the more sort of like authority you have as well, and companies will talk to you and treat you different. Trust me, I've seen that firsthand, and that's what I don't really like about certain companies, and that's why I like any company that give an opportunity or whatever, like you genuinely have to see like, is it an actual genuine company as well? But the situation here is like the influencers that had really cool opportunities and have been really at the forefront for Marvels Avengers, and I'll just throw a few names right out there. I'm talking about content creators like Lejeune. Absolutely love his videos. I think he's super cool at what he does. Really great guy, and I 100% support his movement in the content that he's doing, and I wish him all the best. The exact same goes for Bob Duck and Weave and High Ruler as well. Love their content. I love Bob Duck and Weave's graphics as well. I mean, these are just genuine human beings, right, on whose work I really find interest in, and people that are really trying to master their craft, and they all kind of have like their own sort of individual thing going on, and I think they're really cool people. I've watched a few of Tony Bing Gaming's videos as well, and really cool people. Like some of these people I've genuinely never even spoken to, right, but just talking like from a viewer perspective, I think these are really great people, and especially seeing what they've been trying to do for the game and the community as well. Honestly, my hat's off and the utmost respect for all of these people. I mean, I genuinely will give my utmost respect to people, even if you didn't like me, for example, right? At the end of the day, it's just YouTube, you know? You never really know someone behind a camera or whatever it may be, and I think that's another really important thing, right? Because all these influencers have always been thrown under the bus in not just situations like this, but a lot of times. But this situation in particular was a scenario of them, you know, being, and when I say them, I'm talking about loads of people, so I do apologize if I didn't say other names as well. Those were just names that came to the top of my head, and whose content that I've seen like quite a few times pop up on my feed, etc. Now, what I would say is, you know, for them to be given that opportunity to present some like cool info or whatever it may be and get the community going, and then it literally just spins around and the complete opposite happens, and then they got to basically face those consequences with people going at them saying it's their fault because, hey, you told me that was never going to happen and now it is. It's just so wrong on so many levels, and it should not be happening in this day and age. Now, equally, I will say it's not just the influencers, it's the community, right? Like specifically the community as consumers, and then community managers and people at the forefront for the community at Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics that are simply, literally, point blank, just doing their job. Like, it doesn't really go beyond that point, because they're doing their job, and they're doing their job that they really enjoy doing, and then they have been presented with a situation where they will get that negative, I guess, energy, and the negative comments come at them, and it's like they have the answers to it when actually they don't. And I really won't be surprised if they literally find out last minute when it's too late to even do anything about it. And it's unfortunate for them as well, because they've been getting so much abuse, and I mean, come on. Not in this day and age, surely, right? Like, we just can't keep doing this. I think it's so wrong. Now, fortunately, there are a handful of people that will go ahead and overlook that and say, well, okay, we know it's not actually your fault that this is happening, and, you know, it's the higher-ups, but they're still having to kind of pick up the pieces and basically give answers. So the influencers are having to give answers, the community managers and the people in the community for Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics are having to literally give answers to things that weren't even their decision. Like, they still can't give you an answer. So really, I find it damn right disrespectful to begin with, and wrong that, you know, higher ups on Square Enix especially just haven't really made a statement, an official statement publicly as to why this has happened in the game. Because what it's causing is literally the community to be toxic, and it's been terrible. It has been so bad on so many levels, to where it's not really even a community I personally want to be involved in anymore, because there is literally so much toxic stuff that's going around, and you think, well, you know, this was once a really good community, and it was a really good game, and it still is in that sense, but basically it's like the middle finger was just, you know, put up to all of us when this decision was made, because they literally told us it wasn't going to be a scenario. Now, that's why I feel like it is disrespectful to people that have paid for this game, people that have sacrificed literally so much time to make content on this game, to help build the community and help voice opinions and really keep people reassured and whatever it may be, basically things that the company isn't even doing it themselves, literally saying, hey, in other words, and this is what it feels like, although it may not be the situation, we don't really care about your feelings, we just kind of want your money. That's basically how it feels sometimes, and I just don't like it. I really don't like it, and that's why I say I feel like it's damn right disrespectful, because people have paid money, people have really spent so much time to build a community as well, and this is ultimately how they get repaid, and I just don't think it's right. It doesn't sit right, because everyone is being mistreated. Whether you're working for Square Enix or Crystal Dynamics and you're on the front line, you've been mistreated, I feel. If you're an influencer and you've been trying your best and you've been making content on this game and you're really trying to help, you know, this game be the game and have the community that it should really have, I feel like you've been mistreated. And then if you are somebody who have just bought the game and you genuinely support the content creators, the influencers, whatever you want to call them, and then the company in general, I feel like you've been mistreated as well. So basically, that's my 2 cents on the situation. And moving forward, I will not support the cause for this, because I feel like if they don't want to support the community, then why should we support them? It really is as simple as that. I just don't think that should even be a thing. So unless they want to make an official statement as to why this has happened and why so many people and the backlash has occurred and how they're going to try and resolve that, I think that would be greatly appreciated. But like I said, this is a video from a human being, not a content creator, not an influencer, just somebody who likes Marvel's Avengers and somebody who likes the community, and equally somebody that's seeing a lot of stuff go on sort of behind the scenes, in the sense of creators getting that backlash, visually seeing it on the comments, and then equally seeing the visual abuse that goes, well, not literally visual, but I'm talking about the comments, right? So seeing the abuse that happens to the community managers and the devs, etc. I mean, come on, it's got to stop right now, because it's not a fun community to be a part of anymore. And although I really want to still be in the community and I still really want to make videos on this game, I just feel like if we're not going to get the respect that we truly deserve as consumers of the video game, then they don't really really deserve our support. That's my 2 cents on it. I guess we can probably joke around right now and say I hope Square Enix don't send me a lawsuit, right? Because I'm just literally a human being making a video on how I feel. I genuinely don't want it to go beyond that point, but that's my 2 cents. So guys, that's going to wrap up this video here. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Sorry it's been a bit of a long one, but nonetheless, I hope you kind of found value and kind of got an insight as well on how I feel about certain things, because it really boils down to, I guess you don't know how certain people feel in certain times, and I kind of want to end it on that, because what I mean by that is you don't really see what goes on behind the scenes as a content creator, especially when you get a lot of negative comments, or you get a lot of like negativity come your way in general. Or I guess you could say easily as well, when people kind of like have a different perception on you. That's another thing I want to end this video on. You'll see a lot of people have a different, perception on who you are, and sometimes they don't really know the person behind the video, right? And who the actual human being actually is, and I guess look, more of the story is, don't judge a book by its character. Don't be a slimy content creator. Don't be a slimy influencer. Don't be a slimy gaming developer. Don't be a slimy company in general. And look, dude, that literally applies to absolutely everything. Just don't be slimy in situations, because it sure feels that way, most times, more times than it should. But guys, I'll see you in the next one. Till then, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, And yeah, I will speak to you in the next video. Till then, adios amigos.